And welcome. Yes, awesome podcast today. I've got an amazing man. He's a very humble man, so he's not going to talk himself up. So I'll do that for you. Retired professional baseball player Dave Nillson, catcher for the US Major Leagues, Milwaukee Brewers for 8 seasons, 9 seasons, 92 to 99. First Australian playing in the All-Star game in 99.
Correct.
Okay, here's some good stats. Right, we've got 789 hits, 105 home runs, an Australian 2008 Hall of Famer for baseball.
Yeah, spot on.
Hey, how is he going?
You good so far, yeah.
Brisbane Bandits player. He's also a two-time Olympian back in 2004. 2004,
Sydney and Athens, yeah.
Sydney and Athens. Currently coach of Brisbane Bandits since 2014, and just been there myself to watch some of these games, and just secured the 4th national title, and I believe that's the first in, is it Australian history? For 4 titles in a row?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Again, that's not my lane to research all that, but some people have said that to me. It's the first time that's happened, so pretty exciting to be part of that.
And 4 in a row, so going for 5 this year, so no pressure. And we'll get to pressure and mindset very shortly.
Yeah.
What else we got? We've got basically 4 titles in a row, and just to fill in his spare time now, the manager of the Australian national team.
I've been doing that since July of 2018.
2018,
yeah.
Perfect. So this podcast is all about mindset, so I'm just going to kind of delve into Dave's mind to kind of see where this goes, because I've caught up with him once before, just had a quick chat and a coffee, but it's not until you meet the people then and you do the research and you go, wow, that's just incredible, because success that people have is really driven, and it's very, to some extent, a lot of elite athletes are very selfish towards what their goal is and very tunnel visioned.
Yeah, absolutely.
But everything is now, it's all about sharing. So please, Dave, let's do it. Okay, so give us a bit of a rundown on you growing up, because that's obviously how you got into baseball to start with.
Yeah, well, getting into baseball wasn't really a choice I made. I'm from a big family, sporting family. I got 3 older brothers, and growing up in Brisbane, my dad was an avid sports person, really good himself. So the choices to play sport was great. It was pretty much rugby league, cricket. That was really about it. But I think Dad stumbled across baseball, and he kind of went on that journey of chasing that himself, and then building clubs and starting the whole baseball scene here in Queensland. So I think part of it in the 80s or 70s and the 80s and 60s for him was there wasn't much baseball, which probably made it more attractive. But yeah, we're a typical sporting family, played all things, and then baseball was just kind of the thing that we just loved. Yeah,
and you obviously, that love of it allowed you to be that successful. Did you kind of aim to become a major league player overseas, or was it just you just found this passion and all of a sudden pathways opened?
Well, I don't think that you reach the pinnacle by accident. I think at some stage of your journey you have to dream it and you have to want it. So it was no different for me. I think probably in my early teens, probably 14 or 13, it was like, wow, that'd be cool, a great thing to do. And then probably around 14, 15, it was sort of started becoming this thing I might chase. Again, the world was a lot bigger back then. So it was like, Major League wasn't really on the radar. But 15, 16, I started to physically mature and started to have a bit of success against my age group, and then 16 started to have success against the adults, which is really empowering as an athlete. And so obviously then as an athlete, as a young kid, you always want to start thinking about what you could do and what you could achieve. And for baseball, it was playing over here in the Claxon Shield, and then possibly doing something overseas. But as I said, it hadn't been done before, and but it was definitely something I thought about a lot. And then the opportunity presented itself. I turned 16, 17 and really started dominating over here. I won the award when I was 17 for the best player in Australia. Playing against the men, and at that time, was seen by some talent scouts. And before I knew it, I'm 17 years old, heading on that journey overseas. Loved every bit of it. Some tough parts of it, but yeah.
What do you think the tough parts were? Was it 17-year-old moving internationally to some unknown thing? Because we're just talking about social media before and thinking it's just made the whole world so much smaller, but you can't get away with anything.
Yeah, I think a couple of things. I think social media. There's no mobile phones. There's no faxes. There's no nothing. So when I was overseas for 6 months, it was literally I'll see you later.
Yeah.
Didn't expect I'd speak to my parents maybe once every 2 weeks, just because you couldn't afford to. Phone bills, international phone calls back then were prohibitive. They were so expensive.
Oh yeah.
So it was like this. I'm leaving. I'm going to the moon for 6 months. You might read about me, or I might, speak to you every few weeks.
Yeah.
But that was really about it. And so the tough parts are that, just the human element. You're still a kid, you're still a son, and you miss your friends, you miss your family, and you're growing up. You're not matured at 17, and so you're just going through that journey of being away from family and friends and all that sort of stuff, and you just you get through it. But that's the tough part of it. But the great part of it was you're playing professional baseball for me, and I knew I was a pioneer. No, there's only one or two guys. Well, in this century, there's only one guy who made the major league briefly before I'd gone over, and so I knew I had a lot of people following me. So I was driven from my own desire to want to get there and be good, and also I knew I was representing a country, so to speak.
So even though you're an individual, you're still going.
Absolutely. And sometimes at the tough crossroads, that would sort of get me over the edge to keep me going. And I took that responsibility kind of serious, I think. And that was it. That's the tough part, just the distance involved.
Yeah, I would have thought that would have been it, but it's hard to know because every athlete I talk to, every former athlete, Olympian, everyone is still very much the same. They're very much I just did it. But other people will be looking at your story and be so inspired by the steps you've taken, but they don't know what they need to do next. And they just think there's this big, massive hill to climb, but it's just that one step at a time. Like you said, it just kind of evolved and in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot more information now about for athletes, for young athletes. Sports science, nutrition, and just what parts of the world look like. You can probably get on the internet now and you can see every stadium around the world, every location, what cities look like.
Point.
Just simple things like that. It was just basically the unknown when I played. What things look like, what it looked like, where you go, how you do, and you had, for me going overseas, it had to be you had to have a bit of drive about you, but there was nothing else on my radar. That was all I wanted to do. That was my dream.
So you reckon that had a major impact on you, that you just had that one single tunnel vision, you were going for it? There was no plan B, or did you have some backup strategy?
No, there was no plan B. I wasn't interested in a plan B.
Soccer?
So no, I wasn't. No, that was just it. That was just what I did. That was just what I did, and you have to know what you want to try to achieve, and because for all athletes, as we know now, there's obstacles along the way. You're going to have major injuries. You're going to have major disappointments. You're going to have major failures. That all goes into the life of an athlete. It's no different from a normal person. They experience all the same realms. And as athletes, a lot of times when something goes wrong for an athlete, it's really magnified. Everyone's like, whoa. But really, it's just a life experience that you got to get through.
Because I'm just looking at, you were a catcher, weren't you? So that's, if you've ever seen baseball, you're literally crouched down behind the batter for what percentage of the game? It's got to be
at least 50%.
It's got to be full on for your ankles.
So it's very physically challenging, but your body it gets adjusted to it. You get strengthened and you're conditioned for that. And you sort of run the game. So I was fortunate as I got older. I was able to play multiple positions, but catching was my primary position.
Yeah, sure. So with the catching, I've done a bit of research. I mean, I cover so many sports, but it's amazing when you just simply come down and focus on one. The role of a catcher, it just, for me, going out to see you guys Bandits playing this season, it's just, you see someone catching the ball. But it's so much more than that. I'm looking at it. You're the main strategist on the field.
Yeah. So in game, you're basically the manager of the team.
Yeah.
Prior to the game, there's a lot of research, a lot of discussion with your head coaches or your general manager, whatever it is, about your opposition and about your pitches you're dealing with on that day and how that works and how you're going to defend them and how you're going to pitch them. So you take a plan out there, but in the middle of the battle, the catcher has to make the ongoing decisions on how things are performing and what he's feeling and what he's seeing. You sort of have pretty good lead up going in, but there's a lot of variables you have to decide on and make the tough decisions.
Yeah, because from what I've read, you've got not just keeping an eye on your team, but you're directing the pitcher as to what.
Yeah, well, so the main part of catching is all about the other team. So because when you're not on defense, you're hitting, so everyone is involved in that. But the main part of catching is getting your pitcher, putting him in the best position to have success, and then having your defense in the best position to have success. And as I said, a lot of advanced scouting reports go into that. But in that moment, you're the one who is given that responsibility to formulate that final decision.
Because I would think you'd have to be very in tune with other people's behaviour as well, because you'd be picking up all the weaknesses as well from the batter, wouldn't you?
Yeah, there's everything from where they put their feet, where they turn, where they face the hips, and then you've got to take into consideration your pitcher, his capabilities on that, not on the day, but on that pitch, on that moment, and where he's at. So there's a multitude of variables going to just one pitch, 10 or 15, 20 different variables that just become second nature, and some people can learn to do that, and some people can't.
Yeah, and I would think, because you would have been a catcher fairly early into your career, wouldn't you?
Professional career, yeah.
Yeah. So how does that suit as 20-year-old, 22-year-old coming in and having to direct people that are potentially 30, 35?
Yeah, I think that's part of being in the minor leagues. You mentioned I played 8 years in the major leagues, but I spent 5.5, 6 years prior to that in the minor leagues. So a lot of it is just learning your craft there. And then when you get to the major leagues, I mean, there's so many things that can be overwhelming if you let them.
Yeah.
But you're conditioned and you're taught very early the main responsibility as a catcher.
Yeah.
And it's just part of that maturity of getting in the game and believing and knowing that what you've been asked to do as a catcher is irrelevant of the person's age and experience.
So it's more the position itself.
Yeah, and so that comes down to relationships, and sometimes, I'm sure when I was younger, I'm sure sometimes I wouldn't say anything in certain situations, and that's all part of it. When you've got a veteran guy you're working with, you're obviously taking into consideration what they're thinking, what they do. But ultimately, when something happens or something goes wrong, they're coming to you. So you learn that pretty early, and then you just see whether you can do it or not.
It sounds like a huge responsibility, but I guess that's where a lot of athletes potentially can fail as well, because they're too busy looking at where they're going, but not actually taking each individual game as a lesson to step up. A lot of them kind of see the big picture and go, well, this is what I've got to do. I'm controlling the game. Am I able to be at that level? But it all comes through experience.
Well, that, again, there's a big picture when people look at catches. As you said, from the outside, they kind of catch the ball, they throw it back. But at the very small level, it's a pitch-to-pitch understanding, and that's on a day-to-day basis. So that's different from most other positions on the field. Is you are pitch to pitch. You're making a decision, and sometimes it just flows. Sometimes you get in a flow, and the pitch to pitch sequence happens really really quickly. You identify stuff. You can profile hitters certain ways. A lot of hitters you can profile. You learn their tendencies, their physical mannerisms on how they act in certain situations, or what they're viewing and what their research is. But it's a pitch-to-pitch sequence.
Yeah, fantastic. So how did obviously the major leagues influence through reputation, name? How did that then influence the Olympic career as well? Because I believe you left over there, didn't you?
Yeah, well, So obviously being from Australia, being an Olympic sport is a pretty big deal, and you go back 15, 20 years ago, most professional athletes weren't involved in Olympic sport, and well, really wasn't many professional athletes 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Now
part-timers then, weren't
yeah,
they?
they're all
Definition of amateur.
jobs, yeah. So the Olympics was a totally different thing, and in '97, I think baseball, prior to '97, if you were a professional, you weren't allowed to be involved in Olympics.
Yeah.
And it just kind of perfect storm. They changed that rule, and Sydney gets awarded the Olympics, and just a different part of my career happened, and a window opened up, and I found myself playing the Olympics in Sydney, which was a fantastic experience. Disappointing with our performance, but you know, the experience is really good. Was really good.
Yeah, I guess one of those things. The home Olympics, I was actually down there watching some of the events. I think the environment and how Sydney responded to the home Olympics was just incredible. Yeah, so to be part of that would have been.
Yeah, and look, baseball's different in the Olympics. Our event goes for 10 days, so other sports get to compete for a couple of days and enjoy the Olympics.
Yeah.
That's one of the obstacles of playing baseball in the Olympics is you can't really get out
to enjoy the Olympics.
Yeah, and you can be distracted. And I'll say we had a really poor performance in Sydney. It was a really poor performance, and I would just say it was overwhelming for a lot of players, a lot of part-time amateurs, as you referenced, staying in tournament mode versus just all the distractions of the Olympics in the home city, you know.
Yeah, so difference of obviously there plus Athens, experience of it, knew what needed to be
well,
done.
Athens was more about correcting the mistake we made in Sydney.
Yeah.
And there was a real commitment to, we were just going to go to a tournament.
Yeah.
And there was going to be a lot of positive distractions, a lot of great things.
Yeah.
And you just need to be able to balance, you know, what the good distractions are and make sure that the good distractions don't become a bad distraction. And you have to make commitments, and everything from your nutrition to your sleep to your what you're involved with. And as I said, it was a 10-day tournament in Athens. So, you know, you turn up and you turn up as an Olympic team, Australian Olympic team, and then the swimmers start, and it's all about the swimmers, and you know, they go for 3, 4, 5 days, and then they finish, and then it's all about the swimmers celebrating, and you know, it's just how it works, and it's different sports. I mean, I talk about the swimmers, but there's different sports as well. That during our event are always knocking on your door. Hey, let's go do this, let's go do that, and you know, it can be a very tough thing to balance. But I think we got that right. In Athens, obviously.
And silver medal.
Silver medal, which look, obviously, we put ourselves in a position to play well. You know, and we did play well, and we pulled out a performance. So. Bitterly disappointed. It was a real conflicting moment for me. One of the most disappointing parts of my baseball career. Losing a gold medal. And then 20 minutes later, being up on a podium, having to celebrate a silver medal. So knowing the enormity of the silver medal, but also knowing the gold medal was just taken from us.
So how did you mentally deal with that? Because that's something that I guess the average person doesn't get to understand. We always hear that fourth place is the worst for the Olympics because you don't get one. There's no medal, but obviously you got that silver. So it was a touch and go either way. It was either silver or gold, wasn't it?
Yeah, well look, the achievement of the silver medal was a monumental performance.
Yeah, it's huge.
So as an individual, I sure didn't want to be the Grinch and you know, shoot everyone down and take away their moment. Again, we talked about the role of the catcher running the game. So I was catching that gold medal game. So it takes a bit of time to detox, so to speak. So probably I may have been the only one, but it was so enjoyable being awarded a silver medal, being that put around your neck and everything that went with it, and the anthem, and it's just a wonderful moment. It was very conflicted inside, because. You know, it was a lot. We lost the game, we lost the game.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I mean, we lost the game. Tournament, the enormity of it, but you lost the game.
Absolutely. So.
So moving on from that, we've gone into now coming back to Australia, family, getting into coaching. Was it immediately straight from over there back into coaching, or did you take a few years off to kind of reflect, review, refocus?
I kind of dragged out my playing a little bit. At the time, there was no Australian Baseball League here during that time, so. I probably, if there was an Australian Baseball League, I probably would have played for another 4, 5, 6 years. I'm not sure in what capacity, but I absolutely would have played, but there wasn't. So it probably put me into coaching probably a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
And I was involved in different parts of that for a while, and I think it probably takes a good 5 or 10 years to really start to get to that place where you feel you're really a coach within your own person, and things change once you sort of get to that point. You realise I'm a coach. All the relationships have changed with the players. Then you have decisions to make on what you're going to do with that.
Yeah, because we spoke before about that transition from player to coach.
Yeah.
I mean, some can do it incredibly well, and others, they're too still connected to the friendship and trying to be everyone's mate. Obviously, for you, as you said, you did it because that's what you do, and to some extent, you had that leadership role as a catcher anyway.
Yeah. So I think the leadership role as a catcher really helped the transition. It was just life experience, just maturing as a person and learning how to communicate better. I think was the biggest obstacle for me was learning how to take all of my experiences, all of my thoughts internally and externally communicate them.
Yeah, because that's obviously the role of a coach now, isn't it? Is just communication as a team, individuals, internal, external.
Absolutely, it's communicating with all the individual athletes and treat with them as people, individual people. There are times within a team unit you have to address the group as a team and have some team boundaries, but outside of those few moments, you're dealing with individuals.
Yeah. So, how you as a player were treated through coaches, is that what you've taken through, or you've kind of mastered what you learnt, your process, and what's best?
Well, I think you naturally take away your experiences, but as you get older and you learn more about yourself, you probably throw a few of them out, and you listen a lot to what other people do.
Yeah.
And that never stops. Never stops. So I think I'm probably a different person now than when I started coaching. Absolutely. Absolutely. I probably was a little bit rigid in some areas, and as you mature as a coach, you learn to be a bit more flexible and continue to grow.
Because you're obviously looking at them and going, look, that's who I used to be.
Yeah.
Where are they going to be? Treat one-on-one. And that sort of found this, when we had that first conversation, it was interesting because it said, look, there's so many coaches that would just basically go, well, this is it, this is the rules, I'm the coach, you're not, do as I say. But there's a lot of pushback from a lot of athletes. But having been out to some of the games, I see there's a huge community and there's a great connection and a great culture within the actual team. It's almost like you're still a catcher, but just standing over the side.
Yeah, and again, underneath me I have a lot of coaches, and they all have different roles, and every one of those roles is dealing with individuals, dealing with people, and you work on the skill practice, their preparation, that everyone knows what they're doing, but when it comes down to it, you're dealing with people. Yeah. And you're trying to get the best performance out of an individual person.
So how did you do that for yourself? Obviously, you were talking about being the leader as such of Australians going overseas. How did you path your own little way there? How did you keep yourself motivated?
As a player?
Yeah, as a player, and then I guess even as a coach now.
Well, as a player, it never stops because you're always being challenged on a daily basis. So you always, as a player, you're always trying to climb that mountain and get better and better and better and achieve more and achieve more. So as a player, that wasn't really too much of an issue. It's a good lifestyle. So as a player, once I sort of got towards the top, I sort of, probably had some question marks about what I wanted to do next. But as a coach, I mean, it's just a day-to-day thing. That never stops. And I think as a coach, you sort of have moments, I know I have, where you just have to come to grips with it. Is this what I do? Is this what I want to do? Is this what I'm good at doing? Do I feel I'm having a positive effect on everyone around me? And you just ask yourself those questions. You ask people those questions, and then it comes down to team success as well. And so while I believe I'm contributing and beneficial to whatever program I'm part of, I'm excited to be a part of it.
No, that's fantastic. Yeah, so those who are watching, the man himself, Dave Nillson, I'd like to jump in there and thank you for that. Is there any, I guess, last thing, bit of advice for any young up and coming athletes they've got a dream, they're just not sure of themselves. What would you suggest there is just,
Yeah, I think a lot of young athletes like that. I think they have to understand failure is going to happen.
yeah,
And you hear it all the time, but you are going to fail. You are going to experience injuries,
Yeah.
and you need to have a long plan.
Yeah.
You know, you want to live in the now. Obviously, you want to
Yeah.
be passionate. You want to show a lot of energy and enthusiasm about what you're doing, and you want to be committed to being better on a daily basis, a weekly basis.
yeah,
But you also need to balance that out sometimes and realize you're not going to get selected, and you're going to have injuries, and you're going to have downs, and that's all part of the athlete's journey.
And I guess it's in those challenges, the highs and lows, you actually build character, build strength, build resilience. So that's
where you find out how much you really want to do what you want to do, and if this is the right path for me. And some people cannot handle that part of being an athlete, which is totally understandable. You know, because when you get injured or you're scuffling, you know, it can be lonely sometimes. So you know, a lot of times you only have your own voice sometimes. But you just got to get through it, and there's just different stages of your growth where you either just love it and you don't even think about it and don't even realize what you're doing, or you know, sometimes you just need to reassess and make a decision if you want to keep pursuing it.
Yeah, fantastic. So Dave, huge thank you from me, and I'm sure everyone listening/watching out there. So look, I'd just like to, massive thank you again, Dave Nillson, professional baseball player. Please go online and follow the Bandits. There's a huge journey for them this year. They're stepping up to do 5, so it's massive. So look, we really appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
And everything you've contributed, not just for Australian sport, for overseas and Australia in general. So
thank you. My pleasure.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome.
And see you later.
It's great. Hopefully you recorded it.
Done. Save that. Just shut that one off. Making sure.